Here at Vintage King Audio, our mission is to bring you the coolest old gear we can find. A great example of this is the Audio and Design Recording F760X-RS Compex limiter. The Compex gets its name from the fact that it's both a compressor and an expander. These units are built like a tank inside, but due to their age and the number of components, they can be really time-consuming to repair. The old carbon switches can get really noisy, usually needs to be recapped, and in general requires a thorough going over by an expert tech. Fortunately, here at VK, one of our head techs is Tim Mead, who's an expert at repairing these ADR units. As you can see, the back panel is pretty simple, transformer balanced XLR ins and outs, and you can also modify the voltage from 115 to 240. This particular unit has still got the original stickers on the side. And like all our units, this one will get a thorough going over, testing, repair any faulty parts, and we'll provide it with a warranty. On the front of the unit, the controls are identical for both sides, and there's also two large knobs for the stereo input and output levels. Each channel has a compressor and an expander. There's an overall input level and an output level, and of course the system can be switched in or bypassed completely. For the expander section, you've got three continuously variable knobs. One is for release, another for the threshold, and the third one's for the range. There's also a switch for the expander attack setting, and that can go from 0.2 of a millisecond, 2 milliseconds, or 40 milliseconds. You can also switch between the expander or the gate mode, or bypass both of them. There's a peak limit switch. You can put it into peak limiting mode, bypass it, or put it in pre-emphasis mode. And on that setting, you can actually use the unit as a de-esser, since it emphasizes the higher frequencies. For the compressor section of the unit, you have a switch for the attack setting. That can go from 0.25, 2.5, or 25 milliseconds. And you've got three controls for the typical functions. The release control has 9 different settings, including an auto setting, which is program dependent. The threshold control is continuously variable from -20 to 0. And you've got 6 ratio settings, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, and 20:1. You can also run the unit as 2 independent mono channels or couple them together for stereo. The Compex limiter has a really unique sound to it, and one of the great things about this unit is that every time you change a setting, you can actually hear something happening with the signal. Unlike a lot of compressors where you move some knobs and you're not sure if anything really happened, virtually everything you do with the Compex will make an audible difference in your signal. Because it's got so many functions and each can be used independently or together, you can get a really wide range of different sound effects with the unit. And it's been used by famous artists for the last 40 years to great effect. Probably the most famous would be John Bonham's drum sound on When the Levee Breaks. So if you're looking for a really unique piece of gear, something with a lot of flexibility that will actually make an audible difference in your signal path, the Compex limiter is a very cool piece of vintage gear, and you can get it right here at Vintage King.